Ilya, Hollander, Rozanov, hockey, heated rivalry. Why is it popular? I have a few opinions on this as to why it is so popular, and I even made a list. I also just looked through Twitter and TikTok to see what other people think as well. What made this show so big? Why is this one different? But before I get into that, I have to kind of explain the show a little bit and give some background information. This is actually a book adaptation. For those that are watching it like me, you probably know this, you probably read it, but it is actually a book adaptation from a series called Game Changers, and this is the second book of the series. They're actually not the main duo couple of the series, but it was written by Rachel Reed, and the first book, which is also titled Heated Rivalry, was published October of 2019, if I am correct. But they have a second book as well, which is the sixth book of the series called The Long Game. However, everybody started talking about this when it became a series, and that became this November. The first episode was published 28th of November this year. Let me tell you, not only the series kinda blew up, but also because this is a book adaptation, the books also blew up. Apparently, before this, it already had a fan base. I've never heard of it, to be honest with you, but it is also not my niche. But the books also blew up. Like right now at Goodreads, it has more than 100,000 reviews. More than 100,000 reviews. Not even like, not 100,000 people read it. 100,000 people reviewed it, and that's probably gonna go up. Like, it's 100,000 now. Oh my god. The rating is 4.3 out of 5 on Goodreads. And let me tell you, the books questionable, but I will get there. How did it become a series, this books? It was actually because of Jacob Tierney. He went to Rachel Reed in 2023, actually, about Heated Rivalry, but they could only make it possible this year. It had a lot to do with the plot in itself, how they couldn't really find sponsors. It is a joke within the community right now about how the budget is so low. So that is true. That is true because they couldn't really find sponsors, and the sponsor that they would find would want to change things about the plot. But at the end, they managed to do it, and it was published by Crave. But not only Crave, Crave is a Canadian streaming service, but not only Crave, like I think about 10 days before, HBO also was like, we're also going to be publishing it same date, same hour, whatever, every week. But not every HBO. I think it's right now only like 3 countries. Maybe that has gone up, I'm not sure. And it has been a success from the get-go. What is it about then? It is basically a ice hockey queer romance. I guess we could say it like that. Like, we have 2 characters, Ilya Rozanov and Shane Hollander. Shane is Japanese Canadian and plays for the Montreal Voyagers. I can't really pronounce that word. And Ilya is Russian and he plays for Boston Raiders. But their story actually begins before they got into Boston or Montreal on their rookie year. So it all starts at December 2008, and we watch a 7-year situationship. The whole series, like right now, I think it's 2016 in the series, and it was the 5th episode. And one of the episodes, we didn't even have like a real time skip. So we just watched these 2 ice hockey players navigate through life, especially Ilya and his family and just Russia. And with Shane, we see a lot more of a personal thing. Like with Ilya, it's a lot more external, even though there is internal stuff as well. But with Shane, it's a lot more internal. And usually the narrator of the story is Shane. So we could say he's the main character, I guess. But we do see both of their point of views usually, or not usually, but the more the story moves on with, we do see more of both of them. And yeah, the whole series is basically like, what are they gonna do? How are they gonna navigate this? Like, what's next? And we just watch this romance. I'm saying romance like this because it's icky. It's just, like I said, in the beginning, it is like a situationship. There is a romance aspect to it, but there is no acceptance, or it's just icky. Shane Hollander is played by Hudson Williams and Ilya Rozanov is played by Connor Story, but they're not the only couple in the stories. Like I said, this was also the second book of the series Game Changers, actually. There's another couple of Scott Hunter, which is also a hockey player. He's not in the same team as either of them, but we do see him. He plays for New York. The partner of his is called Kip, and Kip works at like a smoothie bar. And we also see their relationship. The third episode is dedicated for them, and a lot of people were actually kind of surprised about it, that they included them, but they're pretty vital for the growth of these two as well. Scott Hunter is played by Francois Arnaud, and Kip is played by Robbie GK. Before I get into the things as that makes this show popular, why I think it was different with Heated Rivalry compared to other queer shows we see, and I don't even want to categorize this only as a queer show, but before I get into all of that, I kind of want to talk about the impact it had. The songs that were played here doubled, tripled their streams on Spotify. Like, Spotify came out and told everyone, like, before this episode it had this streams, after this episode it had this streams. So it became Crave's most watched show of all time. Like, the whole platform, the most watched show of all time. And for HBO, it became the second biggest first viewer bringer. Like, basically what I'm trying to say is that people became a member of HBO, right? They got a subscription and they watched Heated Rivalry first. This show basically gave HBO the second biggest first viewer. It has a really high rating as well. The 5th episode became the second highest rated episode of all time of a TV series. Well, of course it's a TV series, but in IMDb. Second, it's right now 10 out of 10 with more than 25,000, 29,000 something reviews. And also just overall series as well. It is the 5th most popular series right now. 5th. And when you include movies in it as well, it's like 8th or 9th. It's still in the top 10. So it's pretty fair to say this series is really successful, right? It has a lot of viewership. It is talked about a lot. The actors are doing like one photo shoot, one interview, one this, one that, all in one day. And it has already been declared that it will get a season 2. And just recently, just yesterday, I think Jacob Tierney said that the season 2 might not be able to come out in 2026, because first when we got the season 2 news, it was like it's gonna be in 2026, but then he was like, I don't want to rush things, so it might be earlier, like 2020. So it might be 2027, which is fine. Everybody was actually okay with that. Can you believe it? Everybody being okay with something being postponed. Not necessarily, but you know what I mean. To talk about the why. Why is Heated Rivalry so popular? What did other shows miss that Heated Rivalry did right to gain this popularity? Number one, I think this is something that you cannot just put aside, is the production, how it was shot, where each song was used, the screenwriting, the acting, everything that has to do more of like a physical value within a show was done right. And this is not something you expect from queer shows usually. This is not something you really see. A good quality, not really, but it had it. Heated Rivalry didn't feel like something that was done as a cash grab. And also, it couldn't have been as well. It didn't really have a lot of budget. But it felt like a passion project. It felt like the person that was shooting these, the person that was directing these, the person that did the lights, the person that edited it, the person that chose the song, all of them cared. And you can see it when you watch it. Like, it's not a masterpiece. It's a TV series as well. And like I said, limited budget. But everything is done right. The pacing as well. That's also what I want to talk about. If you read the books and then watched it, you would be mind blown. And that usually doesn't happen, right? There's this whole dilemma ever since the beginning of movies of like, is the book better? Is the movie better? And usually people will tell you book, right? With Heated Rivalry, the series was way better. And sometimes it's like they didn't even change the scene, but the way they portrayed it, the way they did the pacing, the little details they added, or the things that they got out of the book made it so much better. And that has to do with the production quality. And this show actually had a great production quality. Number two, usually when you are coming out with something, it can be a series, it can be a book, first you need people to know about it. And then when they know about it, you need them to pay attention to it, you need them to like actually watch it, and then you want that to be sustainable and durable. You want them to come back. So the first part was already kind of done because it already had a fan base. I didn't know about it. Most people didn't know about it, but there was already a community that was waiting for it, right? So there were already some people. Then what did these people do? These people, as they watched the first episode, the second episode, tweeted about it, made edits of it. It wasn't the PR of the show that grabbed people, it was other people talking about it. And that, I think we have to give a lot of credit to the people that actually existed in the fan base for that. I think one of the biggest reasons as to why this was as successful as it is, without the production, like not counting those, is because of the fan base. Because the people tweeted about it. They made funny jokes, they made like edits, they made, it's just so many things. And also even the people that were not a part of a fan base before started tweeting about it the moment they watched the first episode. Instead of becoming like a guilty pleasure thing, people were actually shouting about it. People were actually making jokes and having fun about this one show, and that made people interested. Even a lot of my friends who are not on this part of the internet have heard of this show. They've seen edits of it. They've seen tweets of it, because people are creating stuff, and that is not something that is only in your hands about a show, if that makes sense. So I think the biggest credit as to why it is as popular as it is right now is thanks to the people that were actually always there because of the books. They created this spark, and once you have a spark, it's a lot easier to have a flame. Without them, I feel like it would have still been popular as it is right now, but also, can we ever really know that? I don't know. So a huge applaud should go to the fans that existed even before the first episode dropped. And just like I said before this, first you need to make sure people know of it, and then grab their attention, and then take it into action and make sure they stay there. So the things that I talked about, like the fan base, the edits, the production quality, and all of these things, made people want to watch it, right? And also something that you cannot just put aside is it's two hot dudes having a heated romance. So of course it's gonna get some views. But what made people stay? Especially throughout the third episode, something that this show did that in my opinion was actually pretty risky is having a whole different couple for the third episode. They are Scott and Kip. They're technically the main couple, like I said, in the first book, but at this point a lot of the views and all of the like attraction this show was getting was not only from the people that read the book, so a lot of the people did not know about these characters. So dedicating the third episode and making people watch these couple that people didn't really care for, it was such a risky move, but I think it paid off. I'm really glad they did that because they are pretty important for the main characters. But that was a bold move, and I think it was actually a right move as well, because people had to wait more for the main couple, and throughout that wait people talked more, so more people watched. That's also why releasing episodes week by week is important, especially if it's a show with 6 episodes like Heated Rivalry. If it has like 30 episodes, at one point people might get tired of it, but if it has 6 episodes and if you already released the first 2 the same day, it's really vital for you to span it out so that actually some time passes and people talk about the show, you know? If they had released this show once, like 6 episodes at once, I don't think it would have been as big as it is right now. Because one of the main reasons as to why I think it got bigger was because more and more people started talking about it, because more people also were waiting for the episode together. It gave people a community for a show. That's also why a lot of people are going to be like, what am I going to do after December 26th? What am I going to do after this? What am I going to do after that? Because it gave people like a community and something to wait for. something to wait for. And so I think one of the reasons as to why it is so popular is because they didn't release all of the episodes at the same time. And I'm not the only one who thinks that way. A lot of people on Twitter also think that these type of media should come back. What I mean by this is like not releasing every episode at once, but also not having 56 episodes and releasing them every 2 weeks. There's a golden ratio, and I think Heated Rivalry did that golden ratio right, and it took risks, and it took the right risks. So the acting is great. There was already a fan base that are creating all of these PR for you, which also feels more natural, right? That is also something that you want within, like, as a production company. You don't want the show to be so alienated from the people that actually watch it. So when the people that actually watch it, consume it, create the content, create the PR, that's just chef's kiss. But all of this aside, one of the main reasons as to why it got so popular, turning back to how first you made people know of this show and then you grabbed their attention and they watched it, talking about why they stayed, I think it's has a lot to do with Ilya than Shane. Both of these characters are important for the story. I don't want that to be unknown, but Ilya's character makes resonance within a lot of people because usually we love sharing pain. We don't really love sharing happiness, but we love sharing pain, or we love seeing people in pain. And with Ilya's character, we had that. People cared for him. Like, people also care for Shane too, don't get me wrong, but with the background story that Ilya has, like, Shane has parents that love him, that support him. He is Canadian and he lives in his own country. He still has his struggles. I'm not trying to bash him, but he has a good friend. The good friend has children. So like, he kind of has like a set life. He's great at hockey. Shane is actually the best player in the world based on the books. So he's great at what he does. He has a loving parents. He has a like good friendship, I would say. But with Ilya, it's like he can't really speak English fluently. He's from Russia. He doesn't have a lot of people here. He has struggles with his family and all of these things. So for Shane, the romance they have is like one of the main problems in his life, right? One of the main things that makes him like, what am I going to do? But for Ilya, it's just one of so many. So you want to see him happy. The catharsis of the show is not lived through Shane, but through Ilya. So I think Ilya Rozanov as a character is also one of the reasons as to why it is so popular, because he feels real, his struggles feel real, it resonates with a lot of people, and it makes people want to stay to see him happy. But they want to see him happy with him. So people do care about Shane too. And I think that is not as easy as it may sound, making people care for two characters, but it was done here. And it was done right. And I think it was done better in the series than in the books. Does Heated Rivalry deserve the attention it gets, deserve the popularity it has? Yes. In my humble opinion, yes, it does. It is genuinely a great show, and I really don't like it when people dismiss shows about queer struggles just because it has some heated scenes. Like, I understand that part. I was also kind of taken aback, but I feel like that's just how their relationship starts, but that's not how it goes. I don't know, I kind of just don't like it when people only talk about that. Anything about the show that I remember the most were not that. So yeah, I think Heated Rivalry deserves the popularity it has, and I wish to see all of you 2027 for the second season. And also, do not forget, actors and characters are not the same people. Bye.